Today's Dr. Charles Stanley daily devotional encouragement and comforting lesson focus on the topic Our Way or God's Way. In tough situations, we are often tempted to rely on our own logic and strength, but God's way is best. This is a lesson for February 15th, 2022. The scripture reference for today's lesson is from Exodus chapter 2 from verse 11 to 25. It says, Moses escapes to Midian. Many years later, when Moses had grown up, he went out to visit his own people, the Hebrews, and he saw how hard they were forced to work. During his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking in all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. The next day, when Moses went out to visit his people again, he saw two Hebrew men fighting. "Why are you beating up your friend?" Moses said to the one who had started the fight. The man replied, "Who appointed you to be our prince and judge? Are you going to kill me as you killed that Egyptian yesterday?" Then Moses was afraid, thinking, "Everyone knows what I did." And sure enough, Pharaoh heard what had happened, and he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in the land of Midian. When Moses arrived in Midian, he sat down beside a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, who came as usual to draw water and fill the water straw for their father's flocks. But some other shepherds came and chased them away. So Moses jumped up and rescued the girls from the shepherds. Then he drew water for their flocks. When the girls returned to their father, he asked, "Why are you back so soon today?" "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds," they answered, "and then he drew water for us and watered our flocks." "Then where is he?" their father asked. "Why did you leave him there? Invite him to come and eat with us." Moses accepted the invitation and he settled there with him. In time, Reuel gave Moses his daughter Zipporah to be his wife. Later, she gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom. For, he explained, "I've been a foreigner in a foreign land." Years passed, and the king of Egypt died. But the Israelites continued to groan under their burden of slavery. They cried out for help, and their cry rose up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel and knew it was time to act. Whenever challenges arise, there are 2 ways to respond: God's way or our way. In today's passage, we see what happened when Moses took matters into his own hands. Although his motives were pure, namely the relief of his people's suffering, his method was wrong. Moses focused on the difficulty instead of the road. How often have you and I done the very same thing? If the unfairness of pain of a situation grabs our attention, we can lose sight of our all-powerful God. Moses relied on his own strength and understanding. When a problem confronts us, the most natural response is to do whatever we can to make it right. Our way may seem so logical at the time, but it won't accomplish God's purpose. Acted impulsively instead of waiting on the Lord. If a situation seems urgent, fixing the problem as fast as possible easily becomes our top priority. At some point, we have acted similarly and suffered the consequence of self-reliance. But God didn't reject Moses or cancel his plans for the man. Instead, the Lord refined his character through trials and gave him another chance. Don't you think our loving Father will do the same for us? Bless. Bless.